Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Cooking in HD. It's Bart Mankiewicz, and today I have a special treat for you. I've made lamb kebabs. Now, I love lamb kebabs. As a matter of fact, I love meat on a stick. I mean, what's there not to like? But today's lamb kebabs are actually made of and inspired by my travels in Europe. Everywhere where I went in Europe, someone or a nationality had their own take of meat wrapped in some sort of a pita or flatbread. And so what I've done for you today is I've made this lamb kebab that's been inspired by my travels in Germany and in Greece. In both countries, they go one step further and they actually add French fries to their dunners or gyros. And I think that's a really great idea. I mean, you've got your lamb, you've got your veggies, and the fries add starch and just a little bit more heartiness to these kebabs. One of my special favorite places while traveling in Greece was on the island of Santorini, where there's a great gyro shop called Lucky's. If you're lucky enough to be in Santorini, you should definitely try it. So stick around, I'm going to show you how to make these delicious lamb kebabs wrapped in a pita flatbread with some veggies and some French fries and my homemade tzatziki. Cheers. All right, let's take a look at our ingredients for the lamb kebabs. I've got some ground lamb here, and there's about, I don't know, a kilo, 2 pounds or so. And in there, I'm gonna put some thyme, some rosemary, and some Greek oregano. I've got some pistachios here. These were in their shells and salted, so I've taken the shells off. And so I'm gonna dice those up and chop those up really nice and fine. I've got some capers, that's gonna add us some salt. And I've got cumin, that's about a tablespoon and a half, and just a little bit of chili pepper. I don't wanna make this too hot. And that's what's gonna go inside the lamb kebabs themselves. Okay, now I'm just gonna add my herbs to my lamb. Okay, as you can see, I've got a pretty fine chop to these. I'll just chop them down just a little bit more, and then I'll add this to the lamb as well. All right, next I'm going to put in my spices. Okay, right here I've got about 2 or 3 tablespoons of capers. I'll chop these up as well. Okay, so here is the lamb, and everything that I'm going to be putting in there is now in this bowl. And so now it's time to mix this up. And I'll mix this up with my hand, but I won't mix too much because I've actually found that mixing too much of a ground meat can actually make it quite tough. I've added some olive oil, and I'm just going to add just a little bit of sea salt as well. Okay, I think I've got this mixed well. So just take a piece of meat. You can see there are pistachios and herbs well interlaced throughout the meat. So I think this is pretty much done. Okay, so I have my first kebab made here, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Basically, I take a piece of meat like this, and I try to make sort of a cylinder out of it. And then what I do, of course I'm doing this with one hand because my other hand is holding the camera, I thread it through the kebab, and then I just kind of work it around it to give it a nice cylindrical shape. Okay, thread it a bit further through. Okay, and now I'm going to add another piece to the end. So there we go, I've got another piece. Make a cylinder out of this one. And again, just put it on the end. Okay, so here are my lamb kebabs. Let's take a closer look. You can see I've formed them into these tube-like kebabs. And you know, you could barbecue grill these. That would actually be ideal. But here in Canada, it's December and it's not barbecue weather. It's too cold outside. So I'm gonna fry these up on a frying pan, and we'll just cook them that way. So I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of salt and pepper on top, and then they're ready to go on the frying pan. All right, let's get our lamb on the frying pan. You'll notice I'm not using any oil. Oil would just cause it would just splatter all over the place. There's quite a bit of fat in the lamb already, and I've already put some olive oil in that when I was mixing up the lamb, so there's just no need for any more oil. And we'll let that brown on each side before we take it off. You gotta check these occasionally when they start to brown. Just turn them on, give them a quarter turn. Make sure that they get a nice even browning. Okay, so I've got a nice warm piece of pita, and here's a lamb kebab, and I'm just gonna take it off the skewer like this. At this point, you've got a choice. You can kind of break it up or not, whatever you want to do. I think I'm gonna just cut it into just slightly smaller pieces to make it easier for me to organize within my my pita. Okay, and you can see it's nice and fully cooked through, maybe a little bit pink on the inside. So that's just how I want it. And then I'm gonna dress it up. I'm gonna add just a little bit of lettuce over top. If that's your thing. I'm going to take some of these tomatoes, which I have added salt and pepper to, just to give them a little bit of a unique flavor. And then I've got, of course, my homemade tzatziki with cucumber. And I like to get really liberal with that. If you like yellow onions, I do. I'm just going to sprinkle a few on top. We're all friends here, so that's good. And then for the piece de resistance, French fries. I know you think I'm crazy, but like I said, they do this all over Europe. When I've had this in Germany and in Greece, they always put French fries, because when you think about it, you got your protein, your vegetables, and you need a starch, and there's your starch in the fries. So next step is you just wrap this up like so, and see if you can get your mouth around that. So guys, thanks for joining me on another episode of Cooking in HD. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for making lamb kebabs wrapped in pita with some French fries inside. I'm gonna check this out, give this a taste test, and I hope you take the time to try this recipe at home. Hope to see you guys soon on another episode of Cooking in HD.